Welcome to the Sunday School Reading Channel. Our lesson for September 17th, 2023 is entitled, Jesus Gives God Glory. The devotional reading comes from Psalms 119, verses 113 through 128. The background scripture comes from John chapter 7, verses 14 through 24. Print passage comes from John chapter 7, verses 14 through 24. Key verse, John chapter 7, verse 18. Devotional reading, Psalms 119, beginning at verse 113 and proceeding through verse 128. 113 reads as follows: I hate vain thoughts, but thy law do I love. Verse 14, Thou art my hiding place and my shield. I hope in thy word. Verse 115, Depart from me, ye evildoers, for I will keep the commandments of my God. Verse 116, Uphold me according unto thy word, that I may live, and let me not be ashamed of my hope. Verse 117, Hold thou me up, and I shall be safe, and I will have respect unto thy statutes continually. Verse 118, Thou hast trodden down all them that err from thy statutes, for their deceit is falsehood. Verse 19, Thou puttest away all the wicked of the earth like dross. Therefore I love thy testimonies. Verse 120, My flesh trembleth for fear of thee, and I am afraid of thy judgments. Verse 121, I have done judgment and justice. Lead me not to mine oppressors. Verse 122, Be surety for thy servants for good. Let not the proud oppress me. Verse 123, My eyes fail for thy salvation and for the word of thy righteousness. Verse 124, Deal with thy servant according unto thy mercy, and teach me thy statutes. Verse 125, I am thy servant. Give me understanding, that I may know thy testimonies. Verse 126, It is time for thee, Lord, to work, for they have made void thy law. Verse 127, Therefore I love thy commandments above gold, yea, above fine gold. Verse 128, Therefore I esteem all thy precepts concerning all things to be right, and I hate every false way. This concludes the devotional reading for Psalms 119, verses 113 through 128, King James Version. Devotional reading, Psalms 119, verses 113 through 128, NIV, beginning at verse 113. I hate double-minded people, but I love your law. Verse 14, You are my refuge and my shield. I have put my hope in your word. Verse 115, Away from me, you evildoers, that I may keep the commands of my God. 116, Sustain me, my God, according to your promise, and I will live. Do not let my hopes be dashed. 117, Uphold me, and I will be delivered. I will always have regard for your decrees. 118, You reject all who stray away from your decrees, for their delusions come to nothing. 119, All the wicked of the earth you discard like dross. Therefore I love your statutes. 120, My flesh trembles in fear of you. I stand in awe of your laws. Verse 121. I have done what is righteous and just. Do not leave me to my oppressors. 122. Ensure your servant's well-being. Do not let the arrogant oppress me. 123. My eyes fail, looking for your salvation, looking for your righteous promise. 124. Deal with your servant according to your love, and teach me your decrees. 125. I am your servant. Give me discernment, that I may understand your statutes. 126. It is time for you to act, Lord. Your law is being broken. 127. Because I love your commands more than gold, more than pure gold. 128. And because I consider all your precepts right, I hate every wrong path. Background scripture, John chapter 7, verses 14 through 24, and print passage, John chapter 7, verses 14 through 24, King James Version. Beginning at John chapter 7, verse 14, reads as follows. Now about the midst of the feast, Jesus went up into the temple and taught. Verse 15. And the Jews marveled, saying, How knoweth this man letters, having never learned? Verse 16. Jesus answered them and said, My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. Verse 17. If any man will do his will, he shall know the doctrine, whether it be of God, or whether I speak of myself. Verse 18. He that speaketh of himself seeketh his own glory, but he that seeketh his glory that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Verse 19. Did not Moses give you the law, and yet none of you keepeth the law? Why go ye about to kill me? Verse 20. The people answered and said, Thou hast the devil. Who goeth about to kill thee? Verse 21. Jesus answered and said unto them, I have done one work, and ye all marveled. Verse 22. Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision, not because it is of Moses, but of the fathers, and ye on the Sabbath day circumcise a man. Verse 23. If a man on the Sabbath day receive circumcision, that the law of Moses should not be broken, are ye angry at me, because I have made a man every whit whole on the Sabbath day? Verse 24. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Key verse. He that speaketh of himself seeketh his own glory, but he that seeketh his glory that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. John chapter 7, verse 18. Background scripture, John chapter 7, verses 14 through 24, NIV. Beginning at verse 14. Not until halfway through the festival did Jesus go up to the temple courts and began to teach. Verse 15. The Jews there were amazed and asked, How did this man get such learning without having been taught? Verse 16. Jesus answered, My teaching is not my own. It comes from the one who sent me. Verse 17. Anyone who chooses to do the will of God will find out whether my teaching comes from God or whether I speak on my own. Verse 18. Whoever speaks on their own does so to gain personal glory. But he who seeks the glory of the one who sent him is a man of truth. There's nothing false about him. Verse 19. Has not Moses given you the law? Yet not one of you keeps the law. Why are you trying to kill me? Verse 20. You are demon-possessed, the crowd answered. Who is trying to kill you? Verse 21. Jesus said to them, I did one miracle, and you are all amazed. Verse 22. Yet, because Moses gave you circumcision, though actually it did not come from Moses, but from the patriarchs, you circumcise a boy on the Sabbath. Verse 23. Now if a boy can be circumcised on the Sabbath so that the law of Moses may not be broken, why are you angry with me for healing a man's whole body on the Sabbath? Verse 24. Stop judging by mere appearances, but instead judge correctly. Key text. Whoever speaks on their own does so to gain personal glory, but he who seeks the glory of the one who sent him is a man of truth. There is nothing false about him. John chapter 7, verse 18. This concludes our reading for September 17th, 2023. Thank you for listening.